Hi there, Sagittarius. Welcome to your end of October 2019 General Tarot Update. It's Raina here. I just put on my angel earrings and I have my Lemurian crystal on, so I burned some sage, so I'm all wooed up and ready to go. I'm using the what's this called? I just woke up not too long ago, so my brain is still farting away. The Wild Unknown Tarot. And it's perfect for this kind of gothic time of year with the Scorpio energy that's represented by the end of the month of October going into November. Excuse me. And I think the moon is going to be in Sag on Halloween, so that's pretty cool. So the heart of the matter, kind of like the focus of this reading, is represented by the Seven of Pentacles. And with this deck, it is not, considered faithful to the Rider-Waite deck, which is the deck, the go-to imagery that we associate with the tarot, right? I mean, that seems to be a general consensus that would be the imagery. Now, the thing about it is that in some decks, there are images that seem almost random, and in some of these cards, I sense like a randomness. Maybe I just don't get it. And therefore, there's no explanation of why they chose certain imagery. But this is a card that I think is perfect imagery for representing the Seven of Pentacles. You see the ascension of these pentacles. It's associated with, in the material sense, how your investment in something is yielding a certain result. Is it going in that upward trajectory? Or is it just kind of flatlining? So a perfect example is if you have started a business and you've been kind of watching it grow, or should I say, just seeing how it is going, and you don't sense upward movement. You don't sense that it really is taking off. Or you do sense it's taking off, that kind of thing. And when we apply it to relationships, we kind of make love into a commodity, I guess, and we decide whether the investment that we're putting in, which is our time and energy, is yielding the results of a good relationship. And if we feel like it's just on one level, and I think the perfect example is when you have a relationship that seems like it's a deep relationship because you're connecting physically, and you confuse that to mean that you are in this deep emotional relationship, and you notice that it's not really progressing. The other person doesn't seem to really want to spend more time with you. They always seem to just want to spend a limited time with you, and that time is spent having physical connection, not having emotional, spiritual connection. So, we're just having intellectual companionship. It just seems like it's on one level. And sometimes it can be very sophisticated how it's all played out. Maybe you go out to dinner or something like that. But you notice that the other party never wants to extend that time, never wants to spend the whole day together. Or when you talk about, longer, like even living together, if you've been together for a year or 2 years or something, there's always that limitation put on the time that the other person's willing to spend on it. And so those kinds of things may come up in personal relationships. Also on the job, if you're working for somebody else, you're putting in the effort. Are you getting this sense that you're going upwards, that you're kind of progressing? Or do you feel like you're kind of stagnating? And it doesn't mean that you're not ascending. This could mean that you're seeing that growth. So I want to make that clear. In the past position, we have the Ace of Pentacles. This suggests a new job that makes you want to, because I usually do think of something that's relatively new, that is creating this assessment, this need for assessment. And in relationships, the Ace of Pentacles could indicate a new relationship with either an earth sign, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, or they have a prominent earth signature, and that is just kind of known by the type of interest they have, the type of mentality they have, if they're just a very practical type of person, and they're a very solid person that you can, as a Sagittarian, can count on, because usually Sag is, you know, I'm a Sag myself, and even though I have a lot of earth, I know that people that are earth signs, or they have a lot of earth within them, tend to be good at navigating the physical world, and they can, you know, for Sages, sometimes we have our heads in the clouds, and we can really benefit from people like this. So if this is a new job or a new business you've started, or a new relationship with an earth sign or somebody with earth signature, or oh, there was one more thing that, well, a relationship with somebody regardless of sign that you sense, maybe this is just kind of like a gut, your intuition, sensing that this could be the real deal, that this person is really solid, and maybe it could be a permanent relationship. The higher message is the Knight of Wands. Actually, this card connects to Sag. I always connect it to Aries, but those are both fire signs, and Leo's the other fire sign. As the spiritual message, the Knight of Wands sometimes is connected to somebody who's more of a playboy, a player, who doesn't want to settle down yet. But my feeling is, if you know, have met somebody and they seem very like you're meant to be with them, it could mean that they're going to be, it's not your partner in crime, your partner in adventure. And that this is the kind of person that you actually need. You don't need somebody that's going to say that they're committed. You just want to have fun. You know, this kind of person wants to have fun. Maybe you're getting too caught up in the future, and perhaps it's premature in some cases. For job situations, it could be that you are being too conservative for some reason. You know, sometimes this is a general reading, so perhaps it's meant for just certain Sagittarians. Maybe your moon is in Cancer or Taurus, and you're very, you know, you always feel better emotionally when you know that there is money in the bank, and that you have some kind of solid financial, you know, guarantee, you know, about something. And so the thing that you have to remember is that you are somebody who is a fire sign. And the Knight of Wands takes chances and is more adventurous than an earth sign person. So even if you're somebody who's a Sag and you have a lot of earth in you, you have to be willing to kind of ride it out. If you have your own business and you've noticed wild fluctuations, that you have the guts to kind of like go through those times without getting too misaligned. That you maintain your alignment through everything, through all of the twists and turns. Wow, so much fire. What crosses you is the Eight of Wands. And so I think that it's very interesting too. I was making this observation to somebody that Jupiter doesn't fully come out of its shadow until, I don't know if it's as I speak, so I'm recording this on October 14th. I think it might even be after this date, because it retrograded at 24 degrees of, oh, it might be November. Wow. That's when it retrograded. So you have to actually look on the ephemeris to 24 Sag to see when it's actually coming out of its shadow. I believe it's like November 10th or something. But the point being, right before 11/11, oh, that would be cool. The point being that since Sag is ruled by Jupiter, that means that we may have really felt that Jupiter retrograde, and perhaps something that happened back in April, it still has taken this long to kind of iron itself out. Now, this is specifically due to Jupiter being in Sagittarius. Again, this is going to affect Sagittarians differently depending on other factors. I don't want to get too into that, but you know, some of you are watching for your, probably most of you are watching for your sun in Sagittarius, but you also have a natal chart, which is based on your time of birth, and your rising sign, you know, sets the tone for that, and your, you know, Jupiter transiting in the sign of Sagittarius could have been in any house in that case, regardless of being a sun in Sagittarius. And so it's very interesting. I mean, I personally experienced this, and I did see the relief that came when Jupiter went direct, but especially when Saturn went direct in September. Jupiter went direct in August. Yeah, that's kind of interesting. That's for me personally. But for you, both of these planets went retrograde in April. So that might have been, maybe not April, but May might have been tough for you and onwards. So keep that in mind, because things may start to pop maybe in the latter part of November, going into the solar return time of Sag. And, you know, another interesting development is that there will be a solar eclipse in Capricorn at the end, you know, like around Christmas Day or the day after. And that for Sag is the second house of earned income. So that could be very good for money too. So maybe it's just a matter of time, November and December, you know, the latter part of November and then through December, where Sag will finally see a little bit more stability in their lives. Or, well, it isn't, with the Eight of Wands, it's actually more movement than anything else. Like, maybe you still feel like you're in a holding pattern to a certain degree, and you're trying to break free from that. But what tends to happen, represented by the Eight of Wands, is that it's like when it rains, it pours, but, you know, in a good way, where it's like all of a sudden you might have had this kind of a holding pattern, and then it's like all heaven breaks loose and you have all these good things happen to you. So keep that in mind. What's coming in is this is the King of Pentacles, Father of Pentacles, and this could bode well for money matters, whether this is you generating a lot of money, coming into a lot of money, or somebody helping you. So for instance, either an advisor if you have your own business, or a bank loan where you're able to get secure future, what do they call that? You know, capital for some business venture where you maybe you've started off cautiously, but then you want to expand and you need to. Oh, interesting. We have two fathers here. Interesting. That could even be like a mature, if not chronologically, then emotionally or well-established earth sign coming into your life, then we have the outcome Father of Swords. So the Father of Swords is a card of, extreme detachment, let's put it that way. And sometimes this has to do with a legal matter, so that could be like a judgment, like a judge's decision about something. And, if there's some kind of, I don't see anything here that would, indicate like a legal matter per se. This sounds like something that you are really undertaking, but perhaps you have been anxious about your financial situation, and now you're going to be like totally cool about it because, something with the Father of Pentacles, if this is something that you have generated or somehow you attract money in abundance, that you're, that suddenly makes you able to be quite detached, where before you might have been wondering, when am I going to see this money situation improve. I mentioned this. I don't know if I mentioned it to Sag, but the first thing I thought of was Ayn Rand, who wrote those books like The Fountainhead and Atlas Shrugged, saying that she felt a Buddhistic sense of calm with money in the bank, a lot of money in the bank. So that to me is kind of like the Knight of Swords, or the King of Swords, the Father of Swords. Also, looking at it in terms of fathers, maybe there's meeting the in-laws, the two families meeting, if there's some kind of relationship. And perhaps this is what you've been waiting for, that you have been putting in this time because you were hoping that your significant other would introduce you to their family, and so both families are meeting, and you really feel like it's progressing to the point where it's going to be a union or something like that. Okay, that's what I have for you, Sagittarius. I hope that you enjoyed this. If you'd like a personal reading, please check the link below. Take care. Bye.